Welcome back to Feature Presentation. Today we're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. This came out after the extremely successful and very surprising Curse of the Black Pearl, which shocked a lot of people at the time because I think most of us thought that a Disney-produced movie based off of a theme park ride wouldn't be very good, let alone great, nor would it have an Oscar-nominated performance in Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow. But it had all of those things and was very surprising, so naturally a follow-up had to happen. I remember the anticipatory feeling in this theater. Sitting down, everyone was salivating to see this movie. Every single seat was filled. I had to sit separate from my friends. This was before the days of reserved seats, at least in Ohio anyway. We didn't have reserved seats. We would just show up an hour before these giant movies started and just sort of sit in the theater and mingle with everybody, excited about it. I ended up sitting with an elderly couple, this really sweet older couple that had one seat next to them. I sat next to them for the whole movie while my friends and their dads sat in various spots throughout the whole theater. We couldn't even sit together. Everybody was absolutely losing their minds to see this movie. And I miss that kind of feeling. It's been a very long time since I have felt that sort of collective feeling of excitement in a theater. As you can see, here's my original ticket I still have for this showing. It was for release day at 6:45 p.m. and we arrived as early as 5:06 to get our tickets and still couldn't sit together. In Dead Man's Chest, Jack Sparrow races to recover the heart of Davy Jones to avoid enslaving his soul to Jones's service, as other friends and foes seek the heart for their own agenda as well. But before we get into the rest of the video, I do want to give a big thank you to the sponsor, Displate. Displate is a unique metal poster designed to capture all your passions. It's a refreshing alternative to paper posters and canvas prints. It's tool-free, safe for your walls, and super quick. Each Displate comes with a magnet kit, so everything you need comes in the box. No drilling, no holes, and no frustration. Displate is also launching a new product line called Displate Textra and pushing the boundaries of what metal posters can be. From now on, premium print finishes will be available without limitations in a vast selection of pop culture metal posters called Displate Textra. A smart and personalized usage of the following effects achieves this premium and unique look: tactile features, 3D contours, and selective matte and gloss effects. Displate Textra finish will be available on hundreds of the best-selling Displates, and Displate looks forward to expanding the library of Displate Textras in the following months. So visit www.displate.com/Stuckmann and check out the selected designs that you can now get with the new Textra finish. That's displate.com/Stuckmann. That link is in the description below. Be sure to check that out. Thank you so much to Displate for sponsoring this video. So right at the beginning of Dead Man's Chest, Elizabeth and Will are both facing consequences for their actions at the end of the last film, helping Jack Sparrow escape the noose, and now they're both on the run trying to find out exactly where Jack Sparrow is. Something I noticed rewatching this film last night is that Disney would never make this movie today. I thought the same way about Curse of the Black Pearl, but I think I noticed it even more with this one because it's rather intense. There's actually quite a bit of scary, violent moments in which people are killed, mostly off camera, but you hear sounds, and sometimes a bird might peck an eye out of a corpse. And we talk about this a lot nowadays. Even movies that are 20 or 15 years old, we look at them like, are we ever going to see films like that again? And sometimes it's from the perspective of content, politics, whatever someone might be saying, a certain kind of comedy, whatever that might be. I am talking about the level of intensity. Dead Man's Chest does not feel like a children's movie, not even remotely. This feels like the type of movie that a kid would go to see with their parents and feel like they're getting away with something, like how I felt when I watched Temple of Doom, because it was rated PG, but definitely would never be that rating today. This is made especially apparent once Davy Jones is involved in the film because he's killing people left and right. There's also some good scares in the movie, like this dude covered in camouflage who I completely forgot about and actually did startle me. One of the smartest things this movie did with Jack Sparrow is take a character that is so confident and make him be terrified throughout the whole movie. Because once he meets Bootstrap, played excellently by Stellan Skarsgård, who's always amazing, he learns that Davy Jones is after him and just might be releasing the Kraken to find him. And so Sparrow spends most of this movie on the run and afraid to tell other people why he's afraid. So you get great comedy out of that because his entire crew is looking at him like he's insane. like more insane than usual. But you know that there's something else going on under the surface for him too. The movie has a bit of a time jump here that can be a little confusing because you leave Sparrow and his crewmates and you're with Will and Elizabeth for a while, and they're both doing their own thing. Elizabeth initially behind bars, and Will out actively searching for Jack. And once he eventually comes across this island and discovers that Jack has become like the king of this island, and the indigenous people of the island seem to be worshiping him, in reality they're just preparing him to be a meal, you kind of feel like you're running to catch up a little bit because you were just with them on a boat and you understand that some time has passed, but a lot has been established now. And it feels sort of like the movie is restarting for a moment because all of his crew are locked in a cage that's suspended from a rope across this giant gap. And again, with the level of maturity in the movie, it's implied that this cage has been made from the bones of other crew members. That's pretty dark. That being said, Jack definitely turns into a cartoon character for a minute when he flips across this gap and then falls all the way down onto his back without dying, or even getting the wind knocked out of him for that matter. We talked a little bit in the first review about how Klaus Badelt and Hans Zimmer sort of collaborated in a weird way with that and how that all came together with the score on the first movie. Hans Zimmer gets solo credit here. I love everything he does, especially the Kraken theme. It's so epic. I already briefly mentioned Davy Jones, but Bill Nighy as this character is just so terrific. Obviously, the incredible effects are doing a lot of great work, but it's all of the facial expressions that he makes and the way he speaks and carries himself that adds all of the personality to this character. With Davy Jones here, they were able to find that perfect balance between a very entertaining villain you like to just look at and be around and see in the movie, but that also feels menacing. There's also a small subplot here that nobody really ever talks about, and that's Elizabeth pretending to be a ghost just to mess with a ship full of idiots, to get them to take her where she's gotta go. Once Will gets on board the Dutchman and is reunited with his father, there's a terrific scene, if not one of the best in the whole movie, where his father is forced to lash his son multiple times with a whip. Skarsgård is amazing in the scene, but so is Bill Nighy just watching off to the side. And what follows after that is great too, because Will, after being whipped by his dad, is like, was I supposed to believe it was an act of compassion that you were the one who volunteered to do that? And he's like, yeah, because the guy who was gonna do it, he likes to cleave flesh from bone. I saved you from that. And Will has this look on his face where he has to acknowledge that his dad actually did try to help him even though he still had to do something awful. This is really damn good writing and great character work. And again, Disney would just not make this movie today. And it really does not feel like it was all that long ago. This movie is not even 20 years old. And the appearance of the Kraken laying waste to all of this crew is brutal. Definitely not a kid's movie. This movie's always watchable. It looks and sounds great. It's very entertaining. But the third act really picks up a lot. You've got Sparrow, the Commodore, Will, and Elizabeth all on this island, sword fighting, running around, getting trapped inside a wheel that's rolling down a hill, sword fighting inside of that. And even though the movie has tons of CGI, it really does feel like Verbinski was trying to keep as much of this in camera as possible. And there's one specific sound effect for the Kraken that I have always loved, and it's when it's pulling this dude out of a cannon window. It's not just the guy's body folding in half, but it's the sound that its tentacle makes as it sloshes out of that window. This entire Kraken attack sequence is just absolute chaos, and it's captured beautifully. Even though the action is great, the character work in Dead Man's Chest is equally impressive. When Elizabeth betrays Jack and chains him to the ship, knowing that the Kraken wants him and she can escape with the crewmates if she just leaves him here, he's staring at her the whole time smiling because he knows that he's right about her. She's just as low down dirty as him. And when he calls her a pirate, he only needs that one word to make his point. I remember a lot of people were a little somber about this ending in the theater, and it's perhaps because they weren't expecting a cliffhanger. I didn't know that there would be a cliffhanger, and it's always sort of this feeling of like, okay, I'm excited about this, but man, I really wanted a little more finality. Cliffhangers are tough, especially with middle chapters. This ended up not being a middle chapter, but at the time we just thought it would be a trilogy and that was it. But it works really well and it makes you excited to see the next one, and if that wasn't enough, we get a little hint of Barbossa at the end of the movie and we're left wondering how in the world he survived and excited to see him again. Dead Man's Chest is a very satisfying sequel. It's by no means as good as Curse of the Black Pearl. They weren't able to capture that same lightning in a bottle that first one did, which is virtually impossible to do. But it's still a very well-made sequel that has terrific action and a great score and explores new sides of the characters we haven't seen before. Guys, thank you so much for continuing to watch Feature Presentation. Look forward to more videos very soon. Do visit displate.com/Stuckmann to check out their new Textra line. Thank you so much to them for sponsoring this video, and thank you guys as always for watching. Look forward to more very soon. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmannized.